Welcome to our video on how long does it take to publish a book. In this video, we'll talk about what's involved in publishing a book and how long that can take. We'll touch on traditional and hybrid publishing, but we're mostly talking about self-publishing here.
So it really depends on the length of time it's going to take you to publish your book. Depends a lot on the type of publishing that you're doing. Okay, one of our other videos we go kind of much more in detail about these three different formats. But in traditionally published, there's a publisher that owns the copyright to your book, and they set the schedule. Okay, if you get approved, if they give you an advance and you have a contract with them and everything, they're going to give you deadlines. They're going to say, we want these chapters done by this date, these chapters done by this date. They keep on you, right? And you have deadlines that you have to meet. And then once it's all done, then they go into, they're going to edit it, they're going to do a cover, they're going to do all the things they do. And typically that takes a year or more on their part. That's
so once you're done completely, you've given them everything, you get to sit there for a year or more.
That's right. And we know someone who it was already at the publishers, completed, they'd worked on it for a long time, were very painstakingly doing a lot of really great work. And then they got it to the publishers. It was a business book. And so something significant happened in the market. And they were like, oh, between them and the publisher, they decided we've got to change a whole lot of this book. And so they had to do a major rewrite of the entire thing. And then we went back, and then it was another year. So it really, really took a very long time for that particular book. But, traditional publishing is the longest. It takes the longest to do that. And as we mentioned in a previous video, it's almost impossible to get a traditional published contract anyway. So we're moving on, right? Okay. So the next one is hybrid publishing, or what some call vanity publishing. And there's a whole video where we talk a lot about that. But hybrid publishing is where you still own the copyright, but you pay one of these companies to do all the detailed stuff that the book needs, like create a cover, do editing, do the interior design, publish it on the different platforms, Amazon and other locations, where it, can then be available to the public. So, that is an agreement between the two of you. So it depends partially on your speed of writing, but also their speed of fulfillment with all the things they're doing for you. So it's kind of a collaborative effort on the timing of the finished product. And then self-publishing, well, it's totally up to you in that case. Self-publishing means you're in charge of it all. Now, you're probably going to hire out an editor. You're probably going to hire out a cover designer. You're probably going to hire out an interior designer, unless you learn to do it yourself. You can actually learn all of it. I wouldn't recommend that you try to do cover design if you don't have graphic design capabilities. And I wouldn't try to do interior design if you're not detail oriented. And I wouldn't try to do editing of my own material, right? That's just almost impossible to do, but it can be done. It's just not that easy, but with self-publishing, the timeline is yours. And so it's how fast or how slow you are at all these things. And really what's involved is, to get a book published, you have to have a completed, formatted, and edited manuscript, right? And it has to be formatted for that platform, for whatever service is going to be putting it out in the world. Whether it's direct to a printer and you're buying, you're spending 20 grand and you're having it printed at a printer's, or if you're going print on demand, which means when one copy is ordered, one copy is printed and shipped to a customer, which is what most printing is these days, right? Then you have to have a cover, all right? They're two separate documents. You've got the book itself, the cover is separate, and then you just need an Amazon account. That's really all you need if you want to publish on Amazon, which is the biggest seller of books, right? Which is something, you kind of need to be on that platform. And a lot of people are exclusively on that platform.
For reasons we'll get into in another video.
Exactly. We'll explain why and the pros and cons of being on just Amazon or being what's called going wide, where you're on Amazon, but you're on other platforms as well, like Barnes and Noble and some other places. You know, the Apple readers and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's really simple. Once you have the completed format and editing and you've got a cover, you just need an Amazon account. And when you have all those, you know, it just simply depends on how quickly you learn and are able to implement the things that you're learning. You know, it depends on how fast you take the actions needed to finish your writing, to get the editing done, to get the cover created, to get the blurb, you know, the description of the book all completed. And then it depends also if you're publishing in print, like a printed, you know, softcover or hardcover book, or if you're doing it in ebook format. And the reason it matters is because an ebook is a lot easier. The formatting is so much easier to do than an actual printed book. Like in a printed book, you've got front matter, you've got back matter, you've got a table of contents, you may have an index, you may have a glossary, you may have references, you know, you've got this huge thing, you've got headers and footers, and all of those have to be formatted properly. Where an ebook, you basically don't have any of that. You don't need any of that stuff. You want an about page, you want a copyright page, and those sorts of things, but you really don't need a lot of the other extra pages that are in a printed manuscript. So it's a lot easier to get them finished. And the formatting is a lot more forgivable, because when a person has a reader, they can choose how big the font is. You know, so what it looks like on my Kindle reader may be completely different than, say, his. He might have little tiny print, you know, and he's reading all this stuff on one page, and I might want really big print because as you get older, sometimes you need to read larger print. And so what my page looks like is different than what his page looks like. So you don't have to format as much because the Kindle reader is going to rearrange it anyway, right? So depending on all those things, it impacts the speed at which publishing can happen. But the bottom line is, if everything is ready, you can publish today. Like you can put it up on Amazon if you've got that account already. And it's really simple to set up. I'm sure there's people on YouTube showing you how, right? It's really not hard to do. They do a review process, right? Usually they take 24 to 48 hours. They're just going to actually, a human being looks at the manuscript and decides if it's following their guidelines. Their guidelines.
Yeah, they have some things that get flagged. They have things that, like, this is not acceptable. The PDF is too big or too small, or, you know, all these things. The image is bleeding over and it's too large, so we need to crop it a bit and shape it better so we can actually show it on the page.
Exactly. So, assuming it passes, you know, you put up the manuscript, assuming nothing gets flagged, it can be up in a couple days, available for sale. Like, it's really, the process itself, once the book is done, is quite simple.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say you're going to get your book up in 2 days, because that's simply the publishing aspect of it. It has nothing to do with launching the book, which a good book launch takes about 6 months to prepare, or actually selling the book once it is launched, because that process takes
forever.
Yeah. As soon as the book is launched, you will be working to sell that book until you either give up on it or you're dead.
Right.
So that process of actually selling it is way more complicated and has way more steps going on, and you will be spending way more time on it. But the actual process of publishing is fairly simple.
It is. It's fairly simple. I mean, it's, you know, it truly is not rocket science. It's pretty simple. Amazon has made it really simple to do. You know, there's like 3 little pages of what you have to input on there, and it's just stuff that makes sense. You know, how, like, what kind of paper do you want, and if that's in print. You know, if it's just an ebook, they don't even ask those questions, right? How much do you want to charge for it, and upload the manuscript, upload the cover. Like, it's really simple.
Mm-hmm.
And there's YouTube videos that'll show you how.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, If you liked the video, go ahead leave a like. If you have questions, leave a comment, and go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified for future videos. And if you like push notifications, go ahead and hit the bell icon.
All right.
We'll see you in our next video, which is going to be about... I don't know what it's about.
Oh, forgot that part.
Yeah.
In our overzealousness.
Yes. And in our next video, we're going to talk about how much does it cost to publish a book on Amazon.
See you then.